Good evening, I'm Ces Orenia Drilon.
I'm Pauline Verzosa.
And I'm Sean Yao.
The big stories tonight. Many are still reeling from the catastrophe that struck a Filipino community festival in Vancouver. 11 are dead and several more are seriously injured in a fatal car ramming attack, the likes of which Canada has rarely seen.
And we have another senatorial survey on our hands that show what political pundits have been saying all along. The real race is in the last few spots of the Magic 12.
And the tug of war for Sandy Cay gets down to a photo op as both the Philippines and China unfurl or reveal their national flags there to assert stewardship of the sandbars.
This is the darkest day in our city's history. A single person shattered our collective sense of safety. It is impossible to overstate how many lives have been impacted forever.
The darkest day in history. That's how a Vancouver official described the tragedy at the Lapu-Lapu Day celebration in Vancouver this weekend. A suspect is already in custody. Mobile journal Julie Baisa has tonight's big story.
Oh my God, there's a lot! Oh my gosh!
It was a sight beyond anyone's imagination. Bodies scattered around East 41st Avenue and Fraser Street in Vancouver, Canada on Saturday evening, April 26th.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
Cars and food trucks damaged, and everywhere, people were crying. Everyone was helpless. One eyewitness even recounted seeing bodies of victims flying up in the air like a bowling ball hitting bowling pins as a vehicle barreled through the celebrating crowd from out of nowhere. The black SUV just pulled through attendees of the Lapu-Lapu Day celebration hosted by the Filipino community.
It was a really, really loud noise, and then we heard screams following. I had seen a lifeless body on the ground, very mangled. It was very hard. It was also very shocking to see. I definitely feel like it's etched in my brain forever.
Almost wrapping up na sila kasi katatapos lang din ng concert.
Oh.
That's when the SUV car, drove through the crowd.
Ambulances immediately came to the rescue and police cordoned off the area. Initially, 11 were reported killed, with ages ranging from 5 to 65 years old. The Philippine consulate also confirmed multiple injuries, several of which are serious.
Ngayong araw na to, bumisita kami sa mga hospital na ayon sa mga otoridad, may mga doon dinala yung mga biktima. So may nakausap kaming ilan, injured sila pero due to privacy law, hindi ko ma-reveal kung sino. But so far, we are in touch with all the Filipino organizations to tell us, to notify us if they know of any Filipino or friend na nangailangan ng tulong.
A suspect was arrested at the scene identified as KG Adam Low, 30 years old and a resident of Vancouver. His motive for the horrific crime remains unclear at the moment.
Sa investigation, itong tao na to may mental health problems. So, ni-rule out ng Vancouver Police, it's not terrorism at hindi rin hate crime.
This was only the third time Canada celebrated Lapu-Lapu Day. Recently, British Columbia officially recognized the event as essential in learning more about the history of the Filipino heritage. The gathering is also meant to celebrate Filipinos' contributions to make the Canadian province vibrant and prosperous. Reactions to the gruesome ramming incident were swift. Singer Apple the App, who performed in the event, requested for prayers for the victims. Stand-up comedian Joe Coy also condemned the senseless crime. Back at the most of the victims' homeland, President Bongbong Marcos shares in the grief and anguish for our Vancouver kababayans. He says his government will do everything in its power to bring comfort and help and honor victims' memories with action. Marcos has also given instructions to diplomats and staff in Vancouver to extend as much assistance as they can to families of the deceased. Canadian Prime Minister Park Carney also said he's devastated to hear about the horrific events and said they are monitoring the situation closely. He also thanked their first responders for the swift action only several hours ahead of Canada's federal election. This year's exercise will be under the shadow of the Vancouver attack.
This is the darkest day in our city's history, as thousands of members of Vancouver's Filipino community gathered for an important cultural celebration. The actions of a single person shattered our collective sense of safety. It is impossible to overstate how many lives have been impacted forever by this lone individual.
Meanwhile, one eyewitness was able to escape the car ramming attack at the Lapu-Lapu block party in Vancouver, Canada. Ramon Lavin and his friends were even able to take videos of them singing before the Audi SUV drove into the street festival. Fortunately, Ramon and company were near the coffee shop where he worked, and that became their hiding spot.
Akala nga namin, terrorist attack talaga. Napatakbo kami. Hindi, basta tumatakbo lang kami, hindi namin alam ano nangyayari. Tapos, yun na, hanggang nakita na namin, nakaka-trauma talaga na after yung sobrang sayang-saya mo, tas gano'ng mararanasan. You cannot imagine na parang may mga kababayan ako na nandun na which nagsasaya lang.
Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney joined in offering flowers and candles before a makeshift memorial at Vancouver for the victims. He described the moment as incredibly difficult and assured that Canadians will comfort the grieving and unite for justice.
To the Filipino-Canadian community and to everyone in the broader Lower Mainland, Vancouver, I would like to offer my deepest condolences and my wishes for strength and compassion in this tragic time. I know that I join all Canadians in mourning with you.
For their part, the organizers of the Lapu-Lapu Festival said they're still finding the words to express the deep heartbreak that they are feeling over the senseless tragedy. To quote Filipino BC, we encourage everyone to check in, support, and hold each other. Do not hesitate to access resources available. You are not alone.
You've lived in Vancouver, so
For a bit, it's really...
And there's a big Filipino community.
There's a big everything community in Vancouver, I think. There's a big Chinese minority. There's a lot
it's a
of...
melting pot.
It's a melting
Yeah.
pot. It's an immigrant country,
Yeah.
right?
So this festival had mixed races also. I mean, different, not just Filipinos.
I'm assuming there's also non-Filipinos who were
Yeah.
there. There were
Other
100,
Asians.
oh yeah, 100,000 people
Yeah.
almost by their count, right?
But it was organized by a Cebuano. I believe it was just the second or third year that they were celebrating this Lapu-Lapu party, a street party in Vancouver. And it's so unfortunate to have
Yeah,
this incident
terrible.
because I heard the victims, some of them were as young as 5 years old and as old as 65.
Yeah. So like the latest count, I think, is 11 people have died. And the Vancouver Police Department, they didn't really give exact details on who the personalities were, the casualties were, but they said 5 to 65 years old, and combination children, women, men.
Yeah,
But
such
right
a
now-
terrible thing.
Only a little, there's only a very few information about the suspect, which is Mr. Lo. We're not really sure if is he Chinese, is he Filipino. I think authorities are also trying to keep his identity for now while they do the investigation. But they were pointing to mental health issues.
Mental health issues.
Which is I think one thing that must have escaped. In Canada, people I think are aware of mental health issues, and yet the whole world now can see like just how bad it could get for people suffering from mental health. And hopefully this story, as tragic as it is, highlights how important
Yeah, will
mental
bring
health.
more focus on help needed by those people suffering from mental health issues.
But from, I guess, what we know, what we can add is the Vancouver police, they're pretty confident this is not a terror attack, so they've ruled that out. And they are pursuing that mental health angle.
We now move on to another story. The Vatican has announced the date of the conclave where the next pope will be chosen. On the ground is our Joey Francisco, who reports to us live. Joey, we understand that they've chosen May 7 as the start of the conclave. Can you tell us how they arrived at this decision?
Says that's right. May 7, 2025 will be the start of the conclave here at in the Vatican. It was announced by the Vatican or Vatican press office just moments after the exit of the Cardinals who met earlier today about 9 a.m. Rome time for their congregation or pre-conclave. Ano kasi hindi nila talaga malubos na sabihin na talagang yun yung focus nila dahil nasa under pa tayo doon sa 9 days of mourning for Pope Francis. So there are other things na decide doon sa congregation or a pre-conclave meeting kanina. Ladies, kasama doon yung decision to close down the Sistine Chapel ngayon for the tourists because it should be prepared na for the conclave on May 7. And also, ang kinukumpuni daw nila ngayon ay yung chimney kung saan may black or white smoke that will signify kung meron na o wala pang bagong Santo Papa.
Well, Jovi, during this period that all the popes are currently congregating, there's what you call yung papal campaigning. Can you tell us more about that during this period nga na nagmi-meet ang mga cardinal bago ang conclave?
Of course, Pauline, walang aamin dun sa mga cardinals na meron talagang pre-conclave campaign na nagaganapan. What we heard from at least dun sa 3 of our 4 cardinals who will be participating dun sa conclave ay they're doing their assignment now, which is to read up on all the 130 plus possible next popes at meron daw silang next pope. Ibig sabihin meron silang parang website daw or basta meron silang file na pinapabasa sa kanila as early as now for them to get to know. Kasi karamihan nung mga pope nung mga cardinal, I'm sorry about that. Karamihan ng mga cardinal na kasali sa 130 plus na yun that will decide on kung sino yung next pope natin ay mga bago lang at noong December parang nga yung ilan sa kanila na italaga bilang cardinal. So talaga ito yung moment. Actually, nag-start na to before the weekend, before the funeral, na sila ay nagkakaroon ng congregation or pre-conclave meetings. At doon ay parang getting to know you stage. Parang gano'n na siguro masasabi doon. Kaya marami silang mga opportunities to meet up at maraming events na naka-line up for them to be all together before yung closed door sa Sistine Chapel nga na gagawin na conclave. Pao.
Okay, meanwhile, Jovi, kamusta naman yung general mood or marami pa bang tao sa may piazza, dyan sa labas ng Basilica or dun man sa St. Mary Major, the Basilica? Or how is it? Nag-die down na ba? Because we're in Novem Diales right now.
I think hindi natin pwedeng masabing nag-die down. Kasi ngayon, dalawa kasi. Sa umaga yung congregation, yung pre-conclave ng mga cardinal. Sa hapon, yung 9 days of mourning of Evangelis nga. At so later, meron pang misa ng 5 p.m. dito sa Vatican. So ang tanong doon ay kung nag-die down, hindi. I don't know, Sean, if our producers will allow that story about Pope Francis at saka yung kanyang puntod doon sa Mary Major, St. Mary Major. Pero doon nga lumipat yung atensyon ng mga pilgrims, pati na rin ng mga faithful na nagpupunta sila dito sa Vatican pero kailangan na rin lang pumunta doon to visit the tomb of Pope Francis.
Jovi, it appears that you're the only one who was able to take footage of the cardinals there boarding the buses after the meeting. Is it before the meeting or right after?
And sorry, Sess, hindi ko nakikita ko ano yung specific na video na nilabas. Pero kung kahapon yung sa mga bus, pero yung ngayon, yung dito, yung iba kasi malapit lang yung mga quarters sila dito eh. So naglakad lang sila, so hinahabol talaga namin sila kaya pag-exit dito sa Pope Paul VI Hall ang tawag nila dyan kung saan ginaganap yung conclave meetings. Alam mo, Ses, kanina, of course, last sila because meron silang meeting. Yung first ever congregation nila, isa sa mga pinagtulungan nila doon is about secrecy. So talagang ang maglalabas lang ng mga updates yung Vatican Press Office mismo or yung Vatican mismo. Pero sino ba naman napipigil sa media, lalo na international media, to ask them kung ano yung napag-usapan sa loob kanina. At at least lahat sila gumaganito lang. They don't wanna talk about it. Pero one cardinal, sorry, hindi ko pa nakukuha yung name niya, sinabi lang niya na date is relative. Pero moments after that, in-announce na nga ng Vatican via yung mga advisories na nare-receive ng media na May 7 na siya.
Jovi, what about, of course, our Filipino cardinals na nandyan din, ano? There are 4 out of 5 living Filipino cardinals na nandyan ngayon sa Rome, but we know that 3 lang ang magpa-participate sa conclave. Yes, so have you gotten to speak to any of them? Well, at least kayong mga Filipino media.
Yesterday sa I think wala tayong time to roll that report from yesterday's visitation ginawa ng mga cardinals doon sa Basilica of St. Mary Major. Doon yung opportunity na nakita namin sila pero yun na nga sila hi hello lang at talagang bumabati lang sila because I really don't wanna expound on kung ano yung magiging nila pag-iisip o kaya ay magiging, well, ayoko tawaging strategy, basta kung ano yung magiging guidance nila kapag sila pumasok doon sa closed door, sa conclave mismo, Pawi.
Well, speaking of Jovi, we have your package post-burial and
Okay.
we are rolling that right now.
Crowds once again filled up St. Peter's Square just a day after the funeral of Pope Francis. An estimated 200,000 faithful attended the Mass held on the second day of the Catholic Church's declared 9 days of mourning. Several Filipinos were seen at the Vatican.
Pinakilabutan ako at saka naiyak ako mag-isa. Through me, with my feelings, I think he's touching me and say goodbye to him.
Before the Mass at the Square, Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle led the Holy Eucharist at the Pontificio Collegio Filipino. His homily centered on the importance of divine mercy.
We know that mercy will not be defeated by the evil present in the world.
Hours later, the members of the College of Cardinals arrive at the Maggiore Basilica. It is their first visit to the tomb of Pope Francis after the funeral Saturday. All 4 cardinals from the Philippines were present during the visit. Aside from Tagle, Cardinals Orlando Quevedo, Jose Advincula, and Pablo Virgilio David also attended. The cardinals prayed the second Vespers together. Earlier today, the Basilica opened its holy door to the public, allowing mourners to visit the tomb of Pope Francis. The line was long and people filled up the back area of the church. It takes an average of 3 hours for visitors to reach the tomb inside the basilica. Once there, you are allowed just seconds to look at the Pope's final resting place. So most visitors opted to pray in the other areas of the church. The tomb is very simple, in keeping with the wishes of Pope Francis.
Nung nandun na po kami sa loob, talagang iba po yung pakiramdam eh.
Magaang po. Kahit yung pila nyo pong 3 oras, natanggal po lahat.
Most of those who line up at Maggiore also line up at the Vatican during the Pope's wake. The public can now visit the tomb of Pope Francis inside the papal Basilica of St. Mary Major a day after his burial.
Okay, balikan natin. Hindi natin natanggal yung stand-upper says. Punta lang natin na yung sagot doon sa tanong kung nagpapaunlak sila. Yan, nakipag-usap naman yung ating mga cardinals. Kaya lang dyan, doon sa event kahapon doon sa Basilica ni St. Mary Major, kitang-kita na nung foreign media yung gusto kong mausap kay Cardinal Tagle. Tumalikod siya at nagdasal doon sa isang altar doon because ayaw niya talagang magbigay ng any comment about, lalo na at interested ng foreign media sa kanya about the conclave.
Right, Jovi, kasi dahil may petsa na, magsisimula na yung kampanya na a campaign where you're not supposed to seem like you're campaigning. Yun
That's
daw
true. That's true.
Ang sikreto dyan.
Yun ang sikreto. At saka I think, talagang kailangan nandun ka kasi nakita ko yung schedule eh. Ang dami nilang schedule says, starting this very crucial week nga tawag nila this week, na I think yung attendance nila sa bawat event na yon is also crucial.
So, sabi mo
So
nga,
before we answer some other questions, I just need to say na may mga Filipinos na nag-abang dito kanina dahil they were curious bakit naglalabasan yung mga Cardinals dito at kung ano nagaganap ko. Tapos in-explain niya namin sa kanila. And of course, sila kahit nandito for Pope Francis at doon sa puntod, ay meron silang mga sinabi about yung expectations sila about the conclave. Maybe we can play that.
We need to pray for the Cardinals. Siyempre, ito yung crucial moments na they will select the new pontiff. Pero wala tayong expectation kung sino ang magiging new Holy Father. Because hayaan natin ang Holy Spirit na pumili through the Cardinals kung sino ang magiging bagong Papa.
I'm hoping na ang next leader din ng ating simbahan, para kagaya din po ni Pope Francis. Lalo na po kasi na talagang Pope Francis brought the church to the modern world, no? Kasi talagang inclusive.
Gusto natin ng isang malakas na moral compass na nag-encapsulate talaga, sinasabuhay yung kung ano talaga yung mga turo ng simbahan at ni Jesus.
Ladies, sinonote ko lang din sa dalawang appearances ng mga Cardinals na witness natin yesterday dito sa Vatican saka doon sa Mary Major. Para ng meron ng mga palakpakan saka sigawan saka cheering from the crowd. So kung lumalabas sa doon kung sino yung parang tinatawag na crowd favorite. We don't want it to sound like a contest pero gusto na natin sabihin na may mga ganun ang pangyayari.
Actually, Jovi, pinag-uusapan din ba dyan, since na-open mo na rin yung topic, may lumalabas kasi ng mga odds, like betting odds talaga. Is this considered bad taste?
yes.
Yeah, well, there,
Yes.
especially there.
Yes, at saka parang yan yung dahilan kung ba't medyo aloof yung karamihan sa mga Cardinals pagdating sa questions and saka sa pag maski yung movement nila parang imbis na parang gusto nilang batiin yung crowd, they don't want to do it kasi parang ayaw nilang halimbawa nagsisigawan, ayaw nilang i-acknowledge kasi it will parang generate more mga ganung buzz o kaya yung mga ganung mga susugal online ng mga tao, no? So, ganyan. Yan ang sitwasyon. Pero I think, although announced naman yung activity sila for the whole week dito sa Vatican, ay mas marami ng time yan doing their assignment, which is to read up on yung mga profile ng isa't isa.
Yeah, and while the whole world speculates on who's next. Thank you so much. That was Joey Francisco reporting to us live from Pope Paul VI Hall in the Vatican.
We're going to take a quick break, but coming up next is the latest Octa survey that shows which senatorial candidates are likely to win 14 or so days from now. We also have Octa president and political scientist Ranjit Rai explaining what their numbers mean when the big story returns. Stay tuned.
We're back with news of Bulusan volcano in Sorsogon erupting. It's now under alert level 1 according to PHIVOLCS. A phreatic eruption happened from 4:35 a.m. to 5 a.m. today, or 4:36 to 5 a.m., sending a plume 4,500 meters high. Pyroclastic density currents or hot flows of volcanic debris and gas flowed 3 kilometers southwest from the summit. Ashfall was reported in barangays of Irosin and Huban. The volcano is under low-level unrest, meaning more phreatic eruptions are possible. Entry into the 4-kilometer radius permanent danger zone is prohibited, and extra caution is advised in the 2-kilometer extended danger zone on the southeast side. Residents are urged to wear masks, and people near the river should stay alert for possible lahar flow.
Just under 2 weeks to go, or exactly 13 days until the 2025 midterm elections. And for the senatorial race, it is still re-electionist Senator Bongo and ACT-CIS party list Congressman Erwin Tulfo who are on top. In the latest Tugon ng Masa pre-election survey of Octa Research, Go and Tulfo are statistically tied at number 1 and 2. They are followed by Ben Tulfo, Tito Soto, Senator Bato de la Rosa, former Senator Ping Lacson, Senator Pia Cayetano, Senator Bong Revilla, Senator Lito Lapid, Makati Mayor Abby Binay, former Senator Bam Aquino, and Las Piñas Representative Camille Villar, who make up the Magic 12. Administration bets still make up most of the so-called winner's circle. Rounding up the top 20 are candidates who still have a statistical chance of winning are former Senator Manny Pacquiao, former Senator Kiko Pangilinan, TV host Willie Revillame, former Interior Secretary Ben-Hur Abalos, Senator Amy Marcos, Senator Francis Tolentino, and actor Philip Salvador. Salvador had the biggest gain, making it to the probable winner's slate for the first time. The survey was conducted between April 10 and 16 through face-to-face interviews with 1,200 voters. The respondents were asked who they will vote for or will vote for senator if the elections were held on the day that they were surveyed.
Just what do the present numbers mean? Will we still see more noteworthy movements in the last surveys before May 12? And joining us tonight is Professor Ranjit Rai from Octa Research. Good evening and welcome to the big story. Gagalaw pa ho ba itong results na to, or with 2 weeks to go before Election Day?
Well, first, good evening, ladies. Thank you for inviting us to share our survey results. Yes, we expect movement to happen. It's quite dynamic. As you can see in the last few months, no, you didn't see Bam Aquino enter the winning 12, no, and in the latest survey of Octa, April survey, now you see his name in. So that just shows you how the race is not just both tightening, but it's dynamic, it's changing, and then at the end of the list of probable winners, you have Senator Tolentino, you have Secretary Ben-Hur Abalos, Kiko Pangilinan, no, Mr. Willie Revillame, all of whom have a very, very strong chance of getting in, because the difference between number 11, 12, is just a few percentage points. No? So, given the time that exists for campaigning, I would think that the numbers will change, and that there's really a close fight for 10, 11, and 12. As far as our lists are concerned. So these are a snapshot of a particular period, and we know for a fact that these numbers will change.
With Bongo being in the top spot, would you credit it to Duterte magic, or is this because of all his malasakit centers, he's built a good brand? To what would you attribute his being steady in number 1?
Well, I think it's not very, explanatory if you say it's magic. No? As an analyst, I think one thing's for sure. Senator Bongo, I should say, has built a name for himself through his malasakit centers, and we're tracking that also in our surveys. Now that there's a particular reason why he's being supported, no, being preferred. Number two, it cannot take away the fact that he's aligned with the Duterte family, and they have very strong support in Mindanao and Central Visayas, where Senator Bongo is doing very well in the surveys. No? What we also know is that many independents, as far as our survey is concerned, or are moving to Senator Bongo. So it's not just the Duterte factor. It's really what he's done as a senator. And of course, that what he has done, his performance, has also attracted not just Duterte supporters, but independents. So you're seeing those some of those independents moving to him in the National Capital Region when you look at his vote. So, it's a confluence of many factors. A lot of it has to do with the persona of Senator Bongo, who, by the way, is not very flashy, not known to be very charismatic, no? But his malasakit centers, no, his performance as a senator has provided him a competitive advantage over many of these contenders in the Senate race.
Okay, Professor Rai, I want to ask you, in your capacity as a political scientist, a lot of political analysts always say the last 2 weeks are crucial. So many things can still happen, and because a lot of the big money, the last push, dun talaga lalabas. How do you expect this to swing in the way, for example, of the administration candidates, and what can the opposition candidates, do about it to try to counter that?
Okay, so to highlight a significant image that comes out of our surveys, number one, dominant. The Alianza slate dominates this particular survey, and if you look at the data, almost everyone in the slate has a statistical chance of making it to the top 12, including Senator Tolentino, whose numbers have gone up, Secretary Benher Abalos, whose numbers have gone up. So, when you talk about this particular midterm elections, it seems like the Alianza slate is maximizing the machinery and the advantage they have as the administration slate. What also is clear is that from the opposition, we might likely get two probable winners, notably Senator Bongo and Senator Bato de la Rosa. So these are the only two members of the opposition that are likely to win seats. No, that's not to take out the possibility that there are others trying to get in. Like the numbers of Philip Salvador have improved tremendously. But there's always a disadvantage when you're not with the administration in the final stretch, as you said. No, resources, the networks of support, the networks of what you call this political alliances at the ground level, they're going to be very important. The next 2 weeks is really the ground game. What as operators would say it, no? How you're going to run the campaign over the next 2 weeks will really depend on how good your ground game is, whether you're from the opposition or from the administration. The opposition, it seems, will have to consolidate their vote yes, they are actually consolidating their vote in Mindanao and Central Visayas, and they're trying to get some leeway or some advantage here in the National Capital Region and some parts of Balance Luzon. But we're hoping that all of these campaigns will be able to sustain their momentums. It seems like Alianza has some momentum now. You're seeing a lot of their candidates possibly making it in the top 12. So it's too close to call. We also have not accounted for in this particular survey the impact of the endorsements of Leni Robredo, VP Sara Duterte, because they were not covered by the survey. So we have another survey. It's ongoing, and the results will come out by May 5, and we'll be able to provide the country a better picture of how all of the campaign efforts have fulfilled as far as the surveys are concerned. So one more survey for Okta, and we'll be able to measure the impact of these very important endorsements.
Prof, the drop in trust ratings and approval ratings of President Marcos did not affect the performance of his slate. Why is that?
Yeah, you're completely correct, Ces. That's actually a very insightful statement to make, because you can't connect his approval ratings with the obvious, the overwhelming dominance of his Senate slate. If we just look at the dominance of his Senate slate, then you'll have a positive, an affirmation, a referendum on his term of office. No? If we're just going to use that, but then we have other survey companies that are saying, the numbers are, they've declined. Okta will release its survey tomorrow on trust and approval. And yes, there were declines, no? But majority of Filipinos, by the way, scoop na sa ano nyo, scoop na. So we're coming out with a survey tomorrow. Officially, we're going to release it. The survey was undertaken the first week of April, and what we found out was, yes, there were declines for most of the top government officials in our country. But that, in the case of the president, majority of Filipinos continue to trust and approve of his performance, despite the declines. So that's an important finding. Majority of everyday Filipinos continue to trust the president. And while there were declines in performance, majority still continue to approve of his performance as a president.
Why?
Now, as far as VP Sara is concerned, we saw a surge in her numbers for trust and performance. Tomorrow will be the official release. So this is exclusive on your show. That's all I can say.
Naman one question. Why is the difference stark between your survey and that of Pulse, where it's really massive? The drop of the president's approval and trust ratings is huge.
Well, I can't talk about the survey ratings from Pulse. They're a different organization. They have a different sampling, different period of survey. What I can talk about is Okta's survey, which has remained consistent since we have taken it. This is the, in a sense, this is the latest survey since we took this reading in the fourth quarter of 2024. And what we're basically saying, without going to detail, because I can't talk about details at the moment, is that the president's numbers declined in both in trust and performance. But that majority of Filipinos continue to trust and approve of his performance as president. So yes, majority of Filipinos still supporting the administration. For VP Sara Duterte, all I can say is that the numbers surged. And she continues to be trusted. This is an improvement from her fourth quarter trust and approval ratings. She continues to be trusted, and her performance numbers went up. Now, the decline, possibly really because of government performance. We also released this in the fourth quarter, that poverty and hunger went up. So this probably accommodates, probably one of the reasons why there was significant decline in certain areas. Notably in the Visayas and some parts of NCR and Balanced Luzon. So these are, I think, the major reason for us why the president's numbers have suffered some decline during this quarter.
Okay. Now that VP Sara is endorsing candidates, in fact, Duterte and Aimee, of course, first, and Camille, will their chances improve? Because you're saying her numbers have surged.
Yeah, it's possible. It's very possible. One can't say no to an endorsement by a very popular person like VP Sara. And our surveys are showing that she's still quite popular with adult Filipinos. Now, most Filipinos trust and approve of her performance. Okay, and so we expect, given the consolidation of the so-called Duterte vote, that those who have been endorsed by VP Sara Duterte will probably gain some sort of boost. That's notably Congressman Villar and possibly Senator Amy Marcos. So, we'll see what will happen in the next survey.
Well, Professor, I mean, there were also surveys done on the factors that will be influencing voters' decision, and among the top concerns were the economy, jobs, employment. But come May 12, do you think this will still play into the voters' decision, or will it be more personality-based?
I think it will be a confluence of many factors. It's very hard to say, But in our survey, the survey results coming from this latest Q1 survey results also show that the top concern is really the economy, and of course, jobs, access to quality jobs. No, a third, of course, is access to cheap, affordable food. Fourth, you'll be surprised, is really peace and order, criminality, and all of these things. These have become an important campaign issue over the last few months, no? And last, and quite surprisingly, because it used to be 1% only, now about 20% of the population will vote on issues related to the West Philippine Sea. So, we were able to capture all of this. We will again produce the report within the week, so for everyone to see. So these are some of the reasons why people vote and what drives them to vote. These issues are important. So again, it's the economy. Inflation is a big issue. Number two, access to well-paying jobs. Third is access to food, no? And then fourth, of course, is the issue of peace and order, fighting criminality. And one notable issue area has been the West Philippine Sea. So it's now become a campaign issue. It's now, at least for a minority of voters. But for those who are pushing this issue forward, especially those in the peripheries, yung mga nasa laylayan, this might actually give them a boost if they're identified with a more assertive pro-Philippine position in the West Philippine Sea.
Always a pleasure having you with us, Professor Ranjit Rai, and thank you for your sneak peek at the results of your survey tomorrow. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you again for inviting us, and thank you for always supporting Opta Research. We will submit to you, all of the media, our report tomorrow, first thing tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you again. Good evening.
And now it was the turn of Congressman Erwin Tulfo to pay former Vice President Leni Robredo a visit. Last Saturday, Tulfo dropped by the Robredo home in Naga following a tour at the city's main public market. There were no arm raising nor official endorsements, but the former VP and Tulfo did not sit down. Robredo thanked Tulfo for his continued assistance to Bicolanos and to Angat Buhay, the NGO she founded, which is focused on poverty alleviation. Tulfo served as DSWD Secretary under the Marcos administration prior to his stint as ACT-CIS representative. Meanwhile, Robredo clarified a video recently uploaded on social media. In the video, Robredo can be heard introducing Sagip Party List Congressman Rodante Marcoleta as a senator to the crowd. Robredo clarified, quote, "There is so much more than meets the eye and that it was taken 3 weeks ago." The video was allegedly posted by a propagandist of a congressional candidate.
Meantime, a passionate exchange among veteran journalists and social media influencers took place on Manindigan. A special Bilang Pilipino 2025 presentation aired on News 5 and One News. The conversation was ramped up when the topic of social media content came up. Content creator Banat Bay and University of the Philippines journalist and professor Danilo Araw had different takes when it came to monitoring news online. Here's what they had to say.
Kung ang bawat network, meron silang network, may mga boss, di ba? Mga reporter, may boss. Ang social media ay meron ding tinatawag na community guidelines. Doon sa platform na pinagsusulatan nila. Una yon na nagpupuli sa kanila. Pag naglabas ka ng fake news, tatanggalin ka. Kaya nga meron tayong tinatawag na fact checker. Yun ang nagpupulis.
Community guidelines, hindi po siya masyadong nasusunod. Yung fact checking na sinasabi ninyo sa
Meta, at least, tinanggal na po yan, at least sa Estados Unidos, may commitment sila to retain it here.
During the debate, the issue of mainstream media being, quote, biased also came up. Influencer Orion Perez Dumdum's opening statement suggested that the press is aligned with particular political parties. Came down to a heated back and forth between the two sides. After a few rounds, though, everyone agreed that the common enemy is fake news.
A wildly partisan press helped Filipino politicians to flood the marketplace of ideas with junk.
Organisado ang mainstream media. Organisadong hindi sila pwedeng magsalita kung walang utos galing sa taas.
Is that your opinion?
Yes, ma'am. It's
So
my opinion.
this is not factual?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
you cannot prove itong statement mo na walang utos galing sa taas?
Yes, ma'am. Ang sinasabi ko nga po ay paulit-ulit, kanina pa po, ay opinion po lamang ito.
Maraming malalasong isipan kapag ang opinion ay hindi batay sa katotohanan.
Right, time to pause for another quick break. But when we return, China and the Philippines unfurled their respective flags on Sandy Cay, a symbolic gesture of who is in charge of the sandbars. The details when the big story returns. Keep it here.
The big story is back with revived tension over at Sandy Cay. Those sandbars, just 3 nautical miles away from our Pag-asa Island, recently became a site of symbolic photo ops for both China and the Philippines. Here's a story from Morning Matters host Gretchen Po.
In this photo released by the Chinese Coast Guard, Beijing's national flag can be seen on Sandy Cay 2, the reef-covered territory of the Philippines, which isn't far from Pag-asa Island in the West Philippine Sea. According to the CCG, they are displaying their sovereign jurisdiction on what they call Tie Shen Chao. It is also a response to what it claims are illegal activities of the Philippines in the area. In the past year, the Philippines made public piles of damaged and broken reefs and corals in Sandy Cay, a sign of China's persistent reclamation activities. But in new videos, Beijing once again denied the accusation and insisted that they are not creating artificial islands nor any activity of that sort in the much disputed site. For the nth time, China turned the tables on the Philippines, saying it is the one causing damage to the reefs of Sandy Cay. But the National Task Force on the West Philippine Sea is hitting back, accusing China of lying.
We have not lost the Pag-asa case. There is no occupation of the Pag-asa case. There is no seizure or illegal occupation of those cays.
In response, the Philippines also conducted an interagency maritime operation at the three areas in Sandy Cay over the weekend. There, members of the Navy, Coast Guard, and PNP Maritime Group waved the Philippine flag. Sandy Cays are small reefs within the Philippine territory, with Sandy 2 the largest among them. Now, their location is strategic, being only 3 kilometers away from Pag-asa Island, where the military outpost of the Philippines is located. The Philippine Armed Forces made it clear that this is considered a red line, one area where China is not allowed to build structures on.
Sandy Cay, maliit lang ito na feature, buhangin lamang, it will not even sustain life. But on that cay will rest our sovereignty. Ipaglalaban natin yan sapagkat yan ay atin. Red lines are non-negotiables.
Senate Majority Leader Francis Tolentino called China's illegal claim of Sandy Cay as an affront to Philippine sovereignty. For her part, Senator Risa Ontiveros called on China to stop the drama, saying that Beijing's photo shoot was a mere gimmick, just another orchestrated spectacle. For NSC's Malaya, this is just another diversionary tactic of China after its alleged involvement in the upcoming elections was uncovered. The Marcos administration reiterated its stance to defend Philippine territory at all costs.
Tuloy-tuloy pa rin po ang pagprotekta sa lahat ng karapatan ng bansa na naaayon sa international law, pero may paniniguro na ito ay para sa peace and stability.
I think China just wants to make fun of us. No?
I know. This is really weird. I was expecting that there would be something there because normally, di ba, there's airstrips, structures, tapos biglang kahit flag, wala pala. It was very strange.
Cays are just small. I mean,
they're sandy. Little sandy piles.
Actually, Sandy Cay parang redundant nga, di ba?
Yeah.
Pero may scoop tayo.
Oo
nga.
Served fresh and hot by Professor Ranjit Rai of Octa Research.
So first thing tomorrow, abangan na po natin ang Octa Research Survey on the Trust and Performance Ratings of PBBM and Vice President Sara Duterte.
I guess Attorney Claire can heave a sigh of relief na hindi daw ganun kasama.
Pero parang Professor Ranjit Rai said yung kay Marcos does not track per se yung Pulse Asia result.
Surge.
Ito may surge.
For our VP Sara.
So that's the similar one.
Yeah.
But no point in conjecturing. We will get that survey result tomorrow. So that's it for the big story on this Monday night.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.
Thank you for watching. Good night.